Good morning and welcome to another wonderful week. I hope you'll have lots of interesting stuff coming up, or at least some interesting stuff coming up this week. I have 4 funerals, well maybe 5, we've got one we're still waiting for a date for. And I'm down in Dumfries tomorrow taking a wedding ceremony. And of course I have a welcome ceremony tonight. I've got some student feedback to give and I have to do some work for my shamanic course. So it's busy, but it's all good. But I thought it might be a good idea to introduce a theme at the start of the week. And then the idea being that we all post content related to that theme, and that will help everybody to build their resources and to develop any areas that might need attention. And so for the very first week, I thought our theme could be drum roll, words. Now I'm not sure if that's back to front. Will it be back to front on the video? But anyway, I thought for the first theme week, we choose the topic or the theme of words. Because words are so important, aren't they? Especially in this work that we all find ourselves doing. And I'm currently, this is part of the reason why I chose this, but I'm currently working in a service where it was originally a minister that was taking the service. But this minister didn't make any contact with the family, didn't share any of his thinking around the service and what would be in the service, and to be honest didn't even pick up the phone, and say, look, I'm really sorry, but I feel really privileged that you've asked me to lead the service. Now, what do you need from me? What would you like for your dad's service? Let's work together and make sure that we do it right. And so the family decided they cancelled the funeral, to be honest. They cancelled the funeral, said they weren't going with the minister because the man had a really challenging life in different ways, and they told me that they were really anxious and really frightened of what might be said in the service or the way it might be held, and so they became really anxious and told the funeral director that they wanted to go somewhere else. They wanted a non-religious service instead, and so it was given to me. And so I wrote this service after having spoken with them and getting some of the history and etc. I wrote this service and I sent it through yesterday, and there was a whole page. There was nothing religious in it at all. There was no mention by name of the actual challenges this man had faced in his life, but there was a whole page of words about challenges in general and the fact that his life had not been without challenges. In fact, it was rarely without challenges. But also how that unless you'd walked his path, unless you'd walked a similar path, then you might find some of his choices and his decisions difficult to understand, and his way of being difficult to understand. But at the end of the day, and especially this day, the focus is not on that, but the focus is on the fact that he was a son and a brother and a dad and a friend. He was still part of a family who loved him very much. And when I sent it, his daughter came back almost straight away just to say how much she'd loved that passage, because it was in yellow, it was all highlighted, just saying, if you don't want this, I'll take it out. But she came back saying how comforting she found those words. And that's because the words that we use at funeral services have the power to comfort and heal and soothe and ease pain and grief, but they also have the power to upset and confuse, to irritate and to hurt people. And when you kind of stop to think about it, spoken words are really all a family has during a funeral service, don't they? And when you start doing this work, you'll soon find that families will often cling to your words as if they're a life raft, as if they're drowning and your words are the only thing that is keeping them afloat. And that's not the first time that this minister situation has happened to me. It's actually the third time recently that I've been asked to take over a service from a minister because of this lack of cooperation and communication with the family as to what's going to be in the service. But as I keep saying, just because a family don't want a religious service, or they say they want a non-religious service, that doesn't usually, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't mean that they don't want the service to have some spiritual support or to be sacred. What they mean is that they don't want it to be pious, boring, and without genuine compassion and honouring of the person who has died. But what we celebrants are showing is that you don't need to be a religious minister to be able to bring spiritual support into a service, because you can do that through being who you are, as well as the words that you write and that you speak. You know, so you just need to be able to craft your words carefully, you know, to listen to the family, to work with the family, and to craft your words carefully so that each and every one resonates deeply with the listener and allows them to feel held and to feel as if the person that they've lost is right there in the room with them as they say their final goodbyes. So for this week, it's all about words and thinking about the words that we use and how we use them. So I would encourage everybody to get a journal and to write words and phrases and quotes and poetry in it. This is mine. It's called the Ayont Journal, and it's just it's full of all sorts of quotes and poems and words and all sorts of things in there. So whenever you're out and about and you hear a phrase or you hear words or you hear a poem or you hear a quote and you think, oh, that's beautiful, write it in your journal, put it in your phone, and then write it in your journal and create this beautiful, you know, harvest all these beautiful examples of language that can help heal and soothe people. And that means when you go to write somebody's funeral service, what I do is I got all the notes out in front of me about the person and a picture of the person, so I'm getting a real sense of the person whose service I'm holding. And then I get my Ayont journal and I go through it and I see if there's anything like jumps out the page at me that was meant for this person's service, because there's nothing new, right? We're no reinventing the wheel here. We don't absolutely have to create fresh poetry, new poetry or new quotes. There are plenty out there that you can draw on, but the difference is you don't just want to grab anyone and stick it in just because you can. You want to sit and think about the person and their life and the family and the stories and the memories and everything they've told you, and then you're going to go into your treasure trove of resources and look for something that would just be perfect. And you can just sit and go through it until it's almost like it jumps off the page, it almost glows off the page, and you think, that's perfect. And it seems, when it comes to the service, it seems as if it's been written just for that person, just for their service. And that really lifts it and creates this depth within the service that the family feel is this spiritual support, this holding of them that they've been looking for from the start. So I urge you this week to think about words, think about how we use them, and to share on here your favourite words, your favourite quote, your favourite poem, or maybe a story about how in your experience, words have really lifted you, really helped to heal you, or conversely, and I know many of you have had this situations where the wrong words have actually caused you to feel a real drop in energy and holding and everything that we know comes with getting it wrong. But preferably how to get it right and to encourage each other. So share those words you love, share those phrases you love, so that by the end of this week, we should all have this, great resource of beautiful words and languages and resources we can have to put into our Celebrant toolbox. And that's got to be a good thing for everybody. So fair fall, and speak to you all soon.